Hazelswirl sat in front of his leader, Dirtstar. After the old deputy had perished in a battle with the Wind Clan, Dirtstar had needed a new deputy, and Hazelswirl was one of the choices, as well as Wrenwhistle and Crushed Raven. He looked at Crushed Raven for a second, then Wrenwhistle, studying his competition, as Dirtstar studied him and his competition as well. He still thought for a moment at the old deputy, a pang of sadness reeking in his stomach, when Dirtstar abruptly spoke up. "Hazelswirl," he meowed, his deep voice echoing among the clearing as kittens behind him played and squabbled. "Yes," Hazelswirl said, his paws almost shaking at the small leader's gaze resting on him. Crushed Raven let out a slight whisper next to him, but it stopped as he spoke. "Will you protect this clan even with your life? And will you try and lead the clan if I shall die?" he meowed. Hazelswirl thought for a moment, then nodded his head. "Of course I do, Dirtstar," he meowed, looking at the small brown leader's form as it went from a slump to a straight posture. "Then please step on the rock," Dirtstar meowed, as the leader strode up on top of the high rock. Hazelswirl followed softly, his paws awed against the deep, temperatured and gray surface of the high rock. He had never been on this before. Maybe he was dared to as an apprentice once, but he never fully stood and watched his clanmates. He crouched there for a moment, looking down at Wrenwhistle and the she-cat next to Wrenwhistle. He didn't know where to exactly stand, so he shifted on the rock for a second, when Dirtstar yowled to his clanmates. "Clan dismissed." Hazelswirl shook with fear. Was he deputy? Dirtstar never for sure cemented that that's who he chose. Hazelswirl's paws twitched as Dirtstar leaped down from high rock. Hazelswirl followed after and began speaking. "Dirtstar," he meowed, racing after the leader as he was about to enter his den. "Does that mean I'm deputy?" Hazelswirl meowed to Dirtstar. "Yes, Hazel," the leader meowed, and Hazelswirl's pelt flattened. "Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your... His words came out in spluttered mumbles, as the leader just chuckled to himself. "I'll start on patrols right away," Hazelswirl meowed, finally calming down his words, as he felt like the deputy job was meant to him. Why would he be chosen when Crushed Raven or Wrenwhistle were just perfect options? This must be something in his destiny. That sounded childish, he knew that, but he honestly believed it. He strode up onto High Rock again, calling out patrols. "All cats gather for patrol placements," he meowed, looking as a pile of kittens played with one another. There were so many kittens, but so little warriors. His thoughts escaped him as Crushed Raven strode up towards him. Was she the only cat for patrol? "Are you the only cat?" Hazelswirl asked, but assigned the patrols anyway. "Well, me and you can go hunting along the border of RiverClan near Sunny Rocks. It's leaf fall, and I know for a fact there'll be plump mice just sunning their coats for leaf there." After the patrol, he had talked to Stormfade about his apprentice, Silverfaw. "Good progress," Hazelswirl meowed, as Stormfade had told him about how he had already taught Silverpaw how to hunt. "Well, I'm gonna go take a nap." Hazelswirl chuckled to himself, and Stormfade nodded agreement. "I'm tired too, but I'm probably gonna sleep after you, knowing your snores will probably keep me up all night." Hazelswirl chuckled again and slowly walked to the warrior's den, finding the largest nest possible for him and curling up in a tight ball. when everything faded to black and he fell asleep. He poked his head in the apprentice's den. "Where's my patrol at?" He had assigned a dawn patrol with apprentices that morning, and he wanted for them to wake up, since they had fallen back asleep. 5 of the apprentices' ears twitched briefly. Noi-Paw, Tiger-Paw, Silver-Paw, Autumn-Paw, and Winter-Paw all looked up cheerfully. "I'm sorry, Hazelswirl," Tiger-Paw meowed quickly, and Autumn-Paw flinched at the deputy approaching in their den. "I still can't believe we're going on a patrol," Autumn-Paw whispered to Silver-Paw, who slept still, but he was still awake. "Are you coming to the patrol, Dune-Paw?" Hazelswirl meowed after he exited the apprentice's den. The Tom didn't respond, just flicked an ear in his direction as Autumn-Paw, Silver-Paw, Winter-Paw, Noi-Paw, and other apprentices had exited the apprentice's den as well, following him. "Hazelswirl," Finchpelt approached the Tom quickly. "I was thinking we should set out a dawn patrol." He looked at Finchpelt with a curious gaze. "I'm doing that right now, Finchpelt, thanks." Hazelswirl meowed softly as the crowding of apprentices swarmed him. He felt a nervous shake through his body, but it quickly subsided as he realized that he was the deputy. Nothing could go wrong with him around. Hazelswirl left camp with the 4 apprentices following after him. Noi-Paw had to stay back as she had gotten a stomach ache and needed to take a quick rest in the medicine den before doing any hunting or patrolling. Hazelswirl raced out into ThunderClan land, the sun beaming down on his swirled pelt as he sat down at the rock. Autumn-Paw, Winter-Paw, Tiger-Paw, and Silver-Paw sitting immediately at his paws. "Okay, does everyone know how to hunt here?" he asked the 4 apprentices. Silver-Paw nodded, and Tiger-Paw nodded as well, but a little less sure of himself. "Do you know, Winter-Paw?" he asked. The she-cat shook her head slowly and whispered, "Not really." He waited for Autumn-Paw to respond, but she had seemingly zoned out. He waited for a moment before saying anything, not wanting to embarrass her in front of her brother and friends, her brother being Tiger-Paw, but he couldn't wait any longer as his glare seemed to weigh heavily on the orange she-cat. "Do you know the answer?" he whispered, seeing Dune-Paw slip past him with herbs clenched in his jaws. Dune-Paw, is he a medicine cat apprentice? Hazelswirl thought. "Do you know how to hunt?" Autumn-Paw looked up and whispered, "Oh, nope, not at all." Tiger-Paw looked at his sister playfully for a second, then looked back to Hazelswirl. "Oh, well, I have an idea then," Hazelswirl meowed. "Silver-Paw and Tiger-Paw can go hunting, while Winter-Paw and Autumn-Paw stay with me. I'll teach you guys how to hunt, and maybe even put in a few battle moves. But that's only if you guys pick up the hunting quickly. I want you all to learn how to hunt by the end of the patrol." More ThunderClan cats raced past him, presumably doing their own patrols as well. "Well, Silver-Paw and Tiger-Paw, you guys can go hunt over there." "I only know to catch fish," Autumn-Paw meowed, a continuation of her answer to him. "Well, let's go," Tiger-Paw meowed to Silver-Paw as they both quickly walked off. "Come on," Silver-Paw meowed, and they both raced. "Well, Autumn-Paw and Winter-Paw," he thought for a moment, looking at their forms and noting that Winter-Paw would probably be a more clumsy hunter. "Winter-Paw, Autumn-Paw, come over here," he meowed as the 2 small she-cat apprentices raced after him. "Okay, I want to start off with the hunting crouch," he meowed. "You crouch down like this and stalk your prey. When you finally get close enough to it, you pounce." He play-pounced, and Autumn-Paw crouched down. "I'm a scary warrior," she purred playfully. "You sure are," Hazelswirl meowed to Autumn-Paw, looking at Winter-Paw as she was a little less graceful with her stalking, and definitely more clumsily. Like this? Winterpaw asked. Yes, Hazelswirl nodded to the white apprentice, her black spots dead giveaway in the autumn grasses. Stalk her prey and try not to break any branches or step on any dried leaves. It's harder to hunt in leaf fall, so that's why the most experienced warriors had apprenticeships in Greenleaf. Well, they might not be the most experienced, but he stopped as Winterpaw flummoxed and broke into a tree, her snout scrunched up as she fell on her back. Are you okay? He meowed to Winterpaw, who was covering her nose with her paws, pain obviously indignified in her body. It happens, she whimpered as she quickly got up. Autumpaw looked at Winterpaw, almost trying not to stop laughing, as Hazelswirl flicked his tail at her. Don't laugh, he meowed towards the she-cat, and she managed not to. Try not to trip when you're actually hunting real prey. Winterpaw looked at the Tom and nodded. I'll try, but like I said, I'm a really clumsy cat. I'm not the most graceful. Anyway, when you get close to prey, I want you to leap with all your force. He meowed. The two she-cats nodded again as they practiced stalking, this time Winterpaw being a little more careful, and she didn't run into the tree again. Here, Winter... He stopped as Silverpaw raced into the clearing, a large hawk clinging tightly into his jaws. He was impressed by the Grey Tom's prowess of hunting and how he had managed to catch the hawk, but he didn't say anything of it as he dropped feathers on the ground. Tigerpaw approached from behind as well with a fat vole, fat enough to feed 4 of the kins of our clan. He thought proudly, looking at the 2 Toms, and then to Winterpaw and Autumpaw, who were play fighting. Autumpaw, stop that now. Please go over there and catch that mouse like I explained earlier. Well, what I was trying to explain earlier, before these 2 Toms came racing in. The 2 she-cats played with one another, pushing each other off, and as Winterpaw pinned Autumpaw down, Autumpaw smacked up at Winterpaw. Winterpaw, stop. Autumpaw needs to try and catch that mouse over there. Hazelswirl meowed as he congratulated the 2 Tom apprentices. That hurt! Winterpaw whimpered, and he looked annoyingly at the 2 cats. Autumpaw, Winterpaw, stop fighting. Quit it, you 2! Tigerpaw meowed from behind him. That hurt! Winterpaw meowed again, as Autumpaw retorted back to Winterpaw. That's what you did to me. Do you want to supervise instead of going back to camp? He asked the 2 cats, and the 2 apprentices nodded, as Hazelswirl went his attention back to the she-cats. Stop it, both of you. Winterpaw! He growled at the white she-cat as she leaped on top of Autumpaw again, Silverpaw meowing angrily from behind him as well. Quit it! Winter, Autumpaw, stop it! Tigerpaw meowed again. Go back to camp. Autumpaw, you too! He whispered to Winterpaw and Autumpaw. Winterpaw's head dropped quickly, and he whispered, Sorry. Autumpaw did one last smack on top of Winterpaw's head, as suddenly all the anger inside of him burned out. Stop it! Hazelswirl's usually kind, reserved nature had stopped, and it quickly changed to an angry, enraged deputy. Go back to the medicine den now. One of you has to have scratches, and Winterpaw ran into the dang tree, for heaven's sake! His words came out in sharp glares, and Winterpaw and Autumpaw quickly sighed. Oh, I'm sorry, Winterpaw meowed as she raced off quickly. Autumpaw's paws dragged as she walked as well, just a little slower than her colleague. Now, he looked to Silverpaw and Tigerpaw. I'm sorry about that, he meowed. Anyway, they're so childish. One of the tomcats meowed underneath him. Just ignore them from now on during your training sessions. If you give them attention, they'll just keep doing it. I get that was your sister, Tiger Paw, but next time when you get back to camp, tell her to be a little less childish, like one of you said. He looked at both of them, and the two Toms nodded. I'll say that too. Now, let's go back to camp, he meowed as everything faded white. Hazelswirl grunted as Winterpaw leaped up on top of him. He shoved her off, and she apologized immediately. What was that for? He growled, looking down at the white and black apprentice, her eyes glinting in fear. He wasn't that mad. He was just concerned. Why did Winterpaw decide to leap on top of him from high rock? Stop acting so childish, and he was almost speechless as the she-cat's dappled coat shook. I just don't know what's gotten into you and Autumn Paw today, but especially you more than that. All I wanted to say is you need to learn how to be a warrior. He got glances from warriors like Willowberry and another orange cat behind him, but he didn't mind it. Now, Hazel, Willowberry approached, comfortably licking Winterpaw on the shoulder as she stood in front of the apprentice. He looked at Willowberry with doubt in his eyes. Winterpaw is still a kid, Willowberry meowed softly. I have been trying to teach her the whole day. Then she just wants to goof around. She won't stop playing. I am trying to do the right thing. She is the cat that needs to learn. He glared at Willowberry. He definitely wasn't one of his most loyal clanmates. Winterpaw's ears went back again, and she apologized. Sorry, Hazelswirl, she meowed as the apprentice raced off. So, why do you treat them so harshly then? Willowberry meowed. I've been kind to them all day, Hazelswirl retorted again. What did this she cannot understand? He was not in the wrong here. He let out a shrug as Tigerpaw and Silverpaw both looked at one another as Tigerpaw raced off. Now, I just need to... Stress engulfed him as he slowly walked across the sunny cleared camp and lay down. He lay down as a young apprentice approached him by the name of Lemonpaw. Hazelswirl, I saw you've been stressed today, she started. I have, he meowed reluctantly as he laid himself down on the rocks. But why have you come here, Lemonpaw? Is that all you wanted to say? She-Cat shook her head. I was wondering if you wanted to talk to me. She stuttered her words, and he looked at the apprentice sympathetically. No, I shouldn't bother young cats like you with my problems. Well, there is one thing I could get off my chest, he meowed. Come on, tell me what's on your mind. Lemonpaw meowed to him, and he started. I've been training with the apprentices all day, trying for them to learn some responsibility skills, hunting, and just bring on a dumb patrol like normal. When Autumnpaw and Winterpaw started playing after I tried to tell them to stop, they kept doing it. They won't stop being childish. His words cut off as he looked around. He looked up. Did a cat just throw catmint on his head? Who's up there? He screamed as he heard a black cat from above whisper to the other. I know you're immature, but what is going on? A kitten from behind waltzed up. The catmint that fell down clenched in their silver jaws. He laughed a second, and then purred as the orange cat above chuckled as well. That must have been the one who threw the catmint down on me. He chuckled. Come down here! He screamed up there, and both the cats looked at one another, and then the orange one called down, No, why would I do it? I mean, that was a good point. He thought in his head a moment. Why was he infatuated with the orange cat so much? It was a random she-cat who threw catnip on his head. I want to know who you are, Hazelswirl called afterwards. A flash of thought crossed his mind. It wasn't anything to do with these cats. It was where Dirt Star was, but it quickly subsided as the orange cat called down, I'm just watching you. What's the harm? The harm is you're in my territory. He snarled up, his head snapping backwards. Honestly, I don't want my entire territory covered in rogue stench. He saw another cat approach at the top, and his ear flicked, wondering which one of his clanmates was up there. Oh, God. Another one meowed as he saw Lemon Paw trot down the exit and back into camp. I can do what I want, the orange cat snapped her head back, laughing. Come on, we should honestly go, Pumpkin Sprite, the black one meowed, presumably her mate. His ear flattened, the other one sticking straight up as he tried to hear what their other words were. He walked up onto high ledge and got a better view of them. Both large cats, one black, one orange and white, presumably both golden eyes. Get down here, he called out to the cats as the black one looked shocked at the new advancement in his closeness to them. Come on, Pumpkin Sprite, let's just leave. He's stressed enough. He twitched his ear as Hazelswirl looked to Winterpaw, who dropped her head immediately. Both of you, please step off the rock, he meowed tartly. Rawr! Miss Kit squeaked at him, and he couldn't help but chuckle, but it quickly stopped. Where was the Dirt Star? He looked around the entire camp and didn't see his leader. Hopefully nothing bad happened to him. What if the rogues killed him? His thoughts quickly raced. Anyway, where's our medicine cat? Where's all our clanmates? He looked around for a second, and his tail drooped. Where did all his clanmates go? Were they abducted by the rogues? He looked back to the two rogues. The orange one had seemed to be in a thinking phase, and the black one seemed to be nervously trying to walk away. What are you guys doing up here? He called again at the cats. Yeah, black cat. Where's your friend? The orange cat poked her head down at the clearing again, dropping more bundles of catmint down on him. There she is. He leaped back in surprise as the fallen bundle fell down on him. That's it! He snarled as he raced up the top of the entrance, racing as quick as he could towards the two cats. Oh, wow, I'm so... She-cat flinched as he raced down and pinned her. Stop throwing... Stop... Calm down, Hazel. She was just joking. He looked up at the black cat. How do you know my name? Oh, come on. Do you think your clanmates don't talk about you? He thought for a moment at the cat's words. Only good stuff. Don't worry. The black Tom let out a chuckle as the she-cat below him rolled her eyes at him. Ugh. You two are really getting on my nerves, he thought for a moment before stopping, as Pumpkin Sprite spoke again. Will you just step off of me? It doesn't matter anyway, he meowed, stepping off of the molly. She
quickly flipped around and glared at him. I just need to interrogate you guys. Just come back into camp and everything will be civil. Don't worry, no fighting here. The two cats nodded at him as they began slowly walking back to camp. He thought for a moment, still concerned about where his leader was. Come on, Dirt Star. You've never been gone on your long walks this long. He meowed to himself as he slipped through the opening of camp, seeing a crowd of cats. Oh, there you are, Autumn Paw, he thought, but kept walking past. After a while, the black cat approached. So, what's your name anyway? He meowed to the black Tom. It's Nightwing, but if we're talking, can we not do this in front of your clan? No, you can come in my den. Well, Dirt Star's den. Hazelswirl meowed, sitting down in the large nest that Dirt Star laid in each night. But it felt cold, and the birding was old. Where's your... Oh, he saw Pumpkin Sprite outside the den, her graceful paw steps moving gingerly towards them. Anyway, I just like to wonder why, as he saw Pumpkin Sprite still sitting out there, his confusion grew. Get in here, he screamed at the cat. The she-cat got up quickly and questioned, Me? Yes, you. Get in here. He growled at the she-cat, and she flinched, but he stopped.
Okay. Hazelswirl meowed. Why are you here? Or on our territory? We're studying the clans. The black cat meowed, and Hazelswirl sighed. Studying? Are you guys planning on attack on us or something? His words went from monotone to exasperated. I just don't know why Pumpkin comes with me, though. Nightwing ignored him and looked at Pumpkin Sprite, his gaze growing soft. Also, do you think a cat like me would attack? Nightwing meowed, his gaze growing unreadable. Hazelswirl nodded and dipped his head towards the black cat. He didn't know this Tom very well, but after a while of sparse conversations, he realized this was not an aggressive Tom. Passive one at that. Do you guys want to join ThunderClan or something? Hazelswirl meowed, perking an ear and looking at both of them. After a while of silence, Nightwing spoke. I don't think me or Pumpkin Sprite fit anywhere. Pumpkin Sprite just follows me, and I for sure don't feel like I'm really interested in this, or being a warrior. So, don't you not? What I'm trying to say is, Hazelswirl looked at his paws and then stood up, looking at the two. What I'm trying to say is, you don't want to become a clan cat at all? He saw one of his warriors perking around the den and then quickly leave. What do you think, Pumpkin Sprite? Nightwing's voice meowed around the den, and Pumpkin Sprite looked back at the black cat. It must be her mate, Hazelswirl thought, when the she-cat meowed. I don't know, I think it's fun. Her words came out in a joyous, and Hazelswirl seemed to let out a giddy purr. I mean, you can talk to me all day, so yeah, it would be fun. Hazelswirl meowed to Pumpkin Sprite, chuckling at his own joke. Pumpkin Sprite looked up and rolled her eyes. Can we talk in private? Orange and black tipped cat slipped into the leader's den. As he saw a cat, his deputy, Torn Claw, sitting there, he smiled at him for a second before turning to Kate. Wait,
He got up abruptly, thinking about something. Is Dirtstar dead? His words cut off as he thought for a moment. He hadn't seen this cat for several days now. What if he was? What happened to him? Hazelswirl's breath caught in his throat as he slowly slunk to the bottom of the floor, the leader's den seemingly growing around him as everything seemed to shake. He tried to hold back tears, but he couldn't stop them. Just make up your mind already. His words broke. He sounded so depressed when he finally raced to the den and curled up in a ball near the edges of Hylich. Tears flowed down his eyes, making his cheeks turn wet as he cried. He couldn't stop the tears. He heard paw steps around him and murmurs from around the other cats too. When he heard the soft paw steps of his deputy, Tornclaw, approach. He cried and thought, why was he thinking of Tornclaw as his deputy? He tried to raise up at the rock, stopping the tears from flowing as he could finally let out more cries as he was up farther on the rock. He thought again at what he thought before. Did he want Tornclaw as his deputy? He had been in the mindset of a leader for how long? Just a couple of minutes after he realized the absence of his leader, and he already thought of Tornclaw as a deputy. He got up quickly, looking around at his clanmates as dried leaves fell from the trees around him. Yes, he meowed, looking as a cat from below called up. This Tornclaw mumbled something, and all he could catch up was on, are you okay? He looked at Tornclaw, his satin gaze turning to a calming expression. Yes, I'm perfectly fine. I do need to give up my 9 lives since, I'm leader now. His words were still weird on his tongue. A leader? How could he be a leader? Only yesterday, or only 5 days ago, he was leading an apprentice patrol. Where were those apprentices now? Where was Winterpaw, Autumpaw? He leaped down from the rock, looking at his clanmates for racing out of camp. I'm gonna go get my He thought for a moment. Who should he tell? He had to tell his... He needed... So much stuff was going around him, he could barely think before it finally caught his mind. I need to tell my clanmates that I'm going to the Moonstone to get my 9 lives and pick a deputy. All cats gather for a clan meeting. His words were shaky. This was his first time calling a meeting, after all, and he looked up, seeing Pumpkin Sprite and Nightwing sitting above him. He grabbed the stick and shook it off Hylich, sitting down. All cats gather for patrol. He covered his mouth quickly with his paws. He was trying to call the clan meeting again, with more confidence this time, and he just slipped up his words. That's what I did as a deputy, call patrols. But I'm the leader of ThunderClan now, and I need to act more like one. He looked at Tornclaw. Is this the clan? Should I? No, Tornclaw meowed. Shall I go get them? Yes. He looked around. Well, I'd like to say Dirtstar's dead, and I need to get my 9 lives. Dirtstar shall be remembered in our honor, as he was a great warrior of ThunderClan, and he will be a respected member of our ancestors in StarClan. He looked around, waiting for Tornclaw's reappearance, as more cats gathered around him. He looked at her, slowly poking her in dens and then quickly slipping out. "Clan meeting," he heard her say, and a smile crossed his face. "Okay, like I said, Dirt Star is dead, and I need to get my 9 lives. But before then, I need to pick my deputy." He looked at the cats. He'd been thinking of Tornclaw as deputy for a while now, ever since he realized the death of Dirt Star, and now he finally realized. Tornclaw was a great warrior, a strong one at that, and incredibly loyal. He scanned the camp for a second, looking at his clanmates. My deputy will be Tornclaw," he whispered, looking down at the bright young she-cat with a smile. When she perked up, her legs broke out from underneath her, and he raced down from the rock. "Clan dismissed," he meowed, looking at Tornclaw with a smile, as he raced out of camp to go and get his 9 lives. It had been a couple of days since he got his 9 lives, and he sat on High Lich. He looked down at his clanmates, remembering the first day he was deputy, calling out patrols with Crushed Raven and Wren Whistle, and the other warrior who he had seemingly forgotten the name of. He thought about Noi Paw, Tiger Paw, Autumn Paw, Silver Paw, Dirt Star, Crushed Raven, Wren Whisper, and everyone else he cared about before that moment. He was a completely new cat. Any cat now would just be another stranger. Well, a clanmate at best, but they weren't like Dirt Star or Noi Paw or Autumn Paw or Tiger Paw and Silver Paw and Winter Paw. All those cats he had met long ago. These cats were now new. He collapsed on the den roof, curling in a ball as he felt leaves patter down next to him. He looked up abruptly. "What?" He looked up, seeing Pumpkin Sprite's cheerful and beautiful face above him, and Nightwing. Well, he's lucky, he thought for a moment, and then put on a face. "What are you still doing here?" he snarled, glaring at the two, especially Nightwing. "You don't want to be a warrior, that's what you said. Now get out of my territory!" Hazelstar's eyes glared with rage when Pumpkin Sprite and Nightwing leaped from above. "We didn't finish our conversation earlier." "Ugh!" Nightwing snorted. Yeah. Pumpkin Sprite laughed nervously. "Don't know what she's so nervous about," he thought, and then nodded. "Well, we'll finish that now then." "I told you to watch yourselves," he heard one of his clanmates yell from below, and he shot them a glare. "Be nice." His clanmate nodded back. "Well, I'm here because..." Pumpkin Sprite looked down. "We need to finish our conversation. I can be an asset to the clan. I know I can." She purred. "Well, that's what I think. Nightwing thinks different, so don't think I am deciding for us." Pumpkin Sprite looked up, and he smiled at her. She was so beautiful, so pretty, and when just looking at her fur, it must have been so soft. He looked back as he heard a purr come from Tornclaw below, and he looked away guiltily. "Spit it out," Hazelstar meowed, looking down at Pumpkin Sprite. "Well..." Pumpkin Sprite flicked an ear at him, and he looked back again to see Tornclaw growling. More guilt came across him as Pumpkin Sprite began speaking again. "Spit what out?" You know what? Never mind." Hazelstar leaped down from the rock and approached Pine Corpse. "It's okay, Pine Corpse. They're here for business. And, She-Cat, come talk to me in my den, so we can actually have a proper conversation with you without you stuttering and mumbling out random words." He walked into the den slowly and sat down. Where's your mate? He looked at Pine Sprite. What? What now? Nightwing walked in, his no-tail seemingly twitching. Mate? I'm no one's mate, he meowed. And Pumpkin Sprite meowed, I don't got a mate. He looked at them, relief seemingly flooding over him. So, you two aren't mates? He meowed. No, of course not, Pumpkin Sprite meowed cheerfully, but there was still concern in her tone. Well, then, he meowed. Anyway, about what we were talking about before. What were you guys saying? He meowed, looking at them with a smile beaming along his face, as everything faded to white.
You two, do you want to join the clan or not? Hazelstar's aggression had become more prominent as the minutes passed, as Pumpkin Sprite made nothing more than a as a response yet. He sat there, seeing outside of his den as Tornclaw, his deputy, was trying to lead a rogue out. A rogue? Pumpkin Sprite spoke up. Give us a day or two, please. We'll come back tomorrow at sunhigh. He raced out of the den as he quickly grabbed the rat that had seemingly tried to make his way in the den. Poor rat, he meowed, grabbing its thin, slippery, and gray body in his jaws. At least we got prey, he thought, as he walked outside the leader's den, passing and brushing past his deputy. Did you get that rogue? He questioned her before setting it down. She had not seemed to hear him, as he laid the rat down. He tried to eat it when he saw the dark brown and white small rogue that had been intruding in his den before, but now he thought Tornclaw had gotten rid of it. He looked up as the Tom meowed, Ooh, a rat! He grabbed the rat up and he quickly raced over. Hey, what are you doing? That's mine! He thought the rogue was handled with. He thought it was a kind one at least. He raced past, seeing Pumpkin Sprite and Nightwing, and completely ignoring him, as he saw Oatblood as Tornclaw leaped on top of him. That's my rat, he snarled, picking the rat up in his jaws as it fell out of the Toms. Gah! He quickly laid the rat down and devoured it in his jaws. That's my rat, the rogue beneath Tornclaw meowed. And I haven't eaten days. I'm starving. I haven't found good food anywhere. Tornclaw perked an ear at that statement and questioned. Really? You couldn't find anything anywhere. He quickly threw the rat bones away from where he sat for and meowed. Go to the kitty pet place. They'll give you kibble that you can gorge yourselves on. The Tom seemed to wrinkle his nose at that. I can see my ribcage, and why would I want to eat that disgusting food? It's gross. I already went there anyway. They won't give me more. I scratched one of their two-legged kits' arms after he tried to pet me. The dark brown Tom grunted. Then learn to hunt, Hazelstar snarled at the rogue, circling the pinned cat. Also, be grateful, Tornclaw interjected her statement, and he nodded at his deputy. Oh. He looked at Tornclaw, seemingly speechless. He knew Tornclaw was a past rogue, let in about a couple of moons right after Dirt Star's leadership had begun, and he never really talked to the she-cat before, but looking at her now, he knew why she was chosen as deputy. Now you're gonna leave, Hazelstar meowed. stopping his distraction at the pretty she-cat and looking back to the nuisance of the rogue. "Not until I get that rat," the Tom meowed. "Well, I ate it already," Hazelstar pointed, standing in front of the entrance to camp. "Well, that sucks. Anyway, what's your name?" Tornclaw meowed from behind. The Tom. "It's Oatblood," he meowed quietly, as Tornclaw began speaking again. "Go to the carrying place. They have plenty of rats for you. Just leave, you fleabag." After that rogue was dealt with, Hazelstar had called a meeting. "All cats gather for a clan meeting," he meowed, looking down at his slim and yet strong warriors. Leafall had been good to them. Fat mice had been wandering the lands, squirrels as well, and plentiful wolves. "Sandpaw is trained to be a warrior," Hazelstar meowed. "Quite good at it, too. And I think she is ready to become a full warrior of ThunderClan." He looked down at the apprentice. Her beautiful curled coat was quite intriguing, but her bright yellow eyes seemingly stared into his soul. "Please step forward," he meowed to the she-cat. Her paws were quick and graceful as she strode forward on the earth. "From this day on, you will be known as Sand Dune, as you are a strong and loyal warrior." He leaped down from briefly touching the she-cat's nose to his, and she licked his shoulder, in the formal greeting of a warrior to her leader from the new warrior. He was about to leave camp when he turned around and meowed, "Clan dismissed." "Sand Dune," he meowed to the new fresh warrior, and meowed, "If any cat asks, I'm going for a walk around the territory." He raced out of camp, a sudden urge storming him. He was looking for them. He raced through the orange bright fields of ThunderClan territory, looking in each direction as he tried to scent out the kitty pet place, and when he did, he finally stepped through into the two-leg place. Everywhere around him was unnatural, an oddly placed tree with brick walls, and he poked his head in, feeling almost a bit like he was betraying. He quickly left, though, as he heard noises from the house, and quickly raced over the fence. He was trying to find them. He didn't know where Nightwing or Pumpkin Sprite was, though. He tensed, seeing one of his warriors. "Tornclaw?" he meowed, utterly confused. "What are you doing here?" Did she follow him? No, he would have scented it. He watched as his deputy hissed at something, and she had an odd stench on her coat. "What am I doing here? I'm trying to get Forgotten Kit. He got stolen by that dastardly Oatblood." "What?" Hazelstar's words were in disbelief as he suddenly started racing around. "Do you know where they were? Do you know which direction they went? Do you know..." He calmed his questions as the beautifully masked deputy caught on his anxiety. "Just calm down. All you need to know is they went towards the barn." Hazelstar suddenly raced around the territory, almost caring for nothing as borderlines. He leaped across the river, just splashing through as his large legs leaped to the next, ignoring any RiverClan scent he caught. And when he finally got to their camp, he ignored it completely, racing through, but he saw no cat around except a medicine cat, and he raced past, wondering for a second where RiverClan was before forgetting it completely as his focus was on their lost kit. He raced across the two-leg bridge, his paws thrumming on the wood as it creaked from underneath him. He was quite a large cat after all. At the barn, he snarled to Tornclaw, motivation seeping into his pelt as he leaped from rock to rock, grass patch to grass patch, when he finally saw the red, bright barn approaching his view. He leaped across the fence and slowed down once he got near them, trying to act non-threatening, since he was quite a large cat. Suddenly he noticed Nightwing. His heart seemed to burst as he looked back quickly, barn door shutting and slamming tight on him. "We're stuck!" His voice croaked. Were they going to be stuck in there for how long? "Don't worry. These doors move," a small kitten below seemed to say, shoving them. Doors open with ghostly paws. "Never mind," Hazelstar meowed, ignoring the kitten's presence, when Nightwing began speaking to him. "Hazelstar," the black cat meowed, and seemingly didn't hear the kitten as he said the same thing. "These are slide doors," he muttered, glancing from side to side. "And actually, we were just looking for you, Hazelstar." Nightwing meowed. "Well, Pumpkin Sprite was. I said I would stay here as she caught you and told you our answer." "Where's your friend?" Hazelstar meowed, as immediately Pumpkin Sprite raced through the doors. "I was looking for you," she purred at the sight of him. He seemingly didn't hear anything Nightwing had said beforehand as the beautiful she-cat walked in. "I was just at..." Everything stopped. He saw then Forgotten Kit, and the door slammed shut quickly. "Get out!" "Where did they go?" he screamed to Tornclaw, who seemed to leap up on a box as he did the same. "Where is Forgotten Kit?" He didn't. Even though his name had said it, he didn't want Forgotten Kit to go forgotten. He slumped his shoulders down, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Forgotten Kit!" He lurched himself down, his posture arcing into a sad slump as he sat there on the box. What's the point anymore? He got taken. Tears seemed to puddle up around his eyelids. What's the point? He sat there, seeing the two ghostly shapes approach him and sit next to him. "It's okay, Hazelstar. Don't be sad," the other one mewed. "I'm a failure." He thought he saw a black cat race, and he quickly leaped off the bold box, and then raced back, seeming it was useless. And it wasn't the rogue with the stolen kit. "Oak, something I think," Pumpkin Sprite meowed to one of the kittens, as though she could see him. Or was Pumpkin Sprite talking to Tornclaw? "We didn't see any other kit come across here today," the ghostly kitten mumbled. "Or anyone named Oak. We just saw him. What are you talking about?" Hazelstar looked around at the three cats, excluding the kittens. They seemed to look at him like he was crazy, as though they couldn't see the kittens. Why could he see the kittens? He lay down for a second and shut his eyes, a repulse echoing among his body, as though he was having a seizure, but it quickly subsided, and nobody seemed to notice, as they had seemingly began looking around again. And Pumpkin Sprite mumbled, "Hazelstar? Don't be sad!" A kitten interrupted the she-cat, and he looked at it quietly. "They stole my clanmate and under my watch they stole my clanmate. I was on the walk-in." "No sadness," the other one squeaked. "I know a place where they could be, Hazel, but you might want to get back to your clan. They may get worried." Nightwing meowed, and he nodded agreement to the Black Tom. He seemingly had ignored Pumpkin Sprite. He got up and crouched on the box, seeing Pumpkin Sprite run off. Something in his heart throbbed like a pin needle in his paw pad, but it stopped. "Oh, we'll find them." The kid meowed and attempted to jump on the box, but fell as it nuzzled him, but just went right through. "Hazel!" Nightwing meowed again in anger, as he had zoned out, ignoring the Black Tom. "Like I said, go back to camp. You're just still sitting here." Nightwing growled, and Hazelstar shrugged. What? Wait, what?" He looked around, then nodded. "Oh, I know what you want. Yeah, I should go back. They probably are worried. I wonder where Tornclaw went, though." That was the thought in the back of his mind. "Well, I'll go." He tried to leap on the box, but failed, as he leaped on the box again and raced off through Windclan territory, as everything faded to white. A gasp escaped his throat. He looked up quickly, racing down the clearing off High Ledge, where he had been slumbering after Nightwing ordered him back. "You got him!" He was breathless as he looked at Tornclaw. He could almost nuzzle her, or hug her, or anything. He looked at the she-cat with bright green eyes. Where did you find him?" He was almost speechless. His tail twitched in eagerness, looking down at the small black and white Tom. So, like I said, Tornclaw hadn't seemed to speak this entire time, and he was waiting for a response, as Forgotten Kid had mumbled. "Well, it was crazy. The rogue got me and then brought me all the way out of camp and then raced me everywhere. My head could almost..." Hazelstar quickly interjected. "Please, go to the medicine den. I'm sure they need you." He looked at Tornclaw again, more infatuation growing inside of him. "Tornclaw, you did it," he meowed as Sandune approached. "Hazelstar," she whispered. Her words were soft, almost uncatchable, as she mumbled. Hazelstar ignored Sandune and nuzzled his deputy, and then looked back at the new warrior. "What is it, Sandune?" he meowed. "I grabbed something for you," she meowed, cautiously pushing forward a rabbit. He grabbed the rabbit in his jaws. "Well, that's delicious." Then he grabbed another one as she had also placed it in front of him. "Here, Tornclaw, you can have one and I'll have this one," he meowed, placing the rabbit in front of his deputy, and then sat back and began devouring the white carcass. This was good after a long day. After the split second of devouring, he laid down in front of the leader's den. He curled up and watched his clanmates bustle around happily as he saw Forgotten Kid. A smile crossed his face. Finally, perfect. Everything was back to normal. He turned back and trotted back in his den, quietly, placidly laying down in the moss bed and curling up in a tight ball, jamming his eyes shut as he began purring in his sleep. He felt another quick relapse inside of him when he got up again, walking out of the den and leaving as dawn had broke. "I keep dreaming, the Hazel Star," Sandune mumbled. What kind of dreams?" He ignored any cat around him except Sandune, and didn't notice when Nightwing had approached behind him. He did look back eventually, though, as he heard chaos in the den. "What's going on in here?" he meowed, almost gasping as he saw oat blood. What? He tried to fetch Forgotten Kit from the ground, but the black and white Tom pushed him away. Mine! Oatblood screamed. What? Stop it! Please, don't kidnap me again! The kitten squeaked from below, and he tried to pick up Forgotten Kit again when he pushed him again away. Please, you can't get Forgotten Kit! He screeched at Oatblood, trying to protect the small kitten. An old med cat, and there's fire, and she says you're sometimes more. Sand Dune was behind him, squeaking, and he totally ignored her. Get away, Oat! He snarled, looking up as he saw Pumpkin Sprite and Nightwing next to each other. His tail twitched curiously for a moment at the she-cat, then turned back to Oatblood. Do not kidnap my clanmate. Hazelstar's voice was gruff as he snarled at Oatblood. Without hesitation, he crouched down and then leaped on top of the rogue, holding him down by his throat. Blood curdled around his paws as the black and white Tom collapsed to the ground. A sneer covered Hazelstar's face, his expression aggressive. No, this is different, he heard Sandu yap behind him, and he ignored her. Again. Silence caught over him as he looked down at Oatblood. One of the Toms scratched Hazelstar's belly multiple times. He looked back to see Tornclaw's exasperated expression, her eyes wide and filled with horror. He leaped back, pain ripping in his throat as he tried to hold back a throw-up unleashing from his throat. In pain or in disgust at the amount of blood on his paws. He didn't know. Tornclaw, please come! Sandune wished. Oatblood turned on the attack on him and pinned him down by his throat. He felt everything around him slow, as everything seemed to circle, blood pounding in his head. Oh, not again. He seemed to know all those times he lurched in his sleep. He understood them now. He was dying, losing a life, one of his 9 lives. But why did he die every time he shut his eyes? He knew. It was from the stress, the starvation, and something else, as though StarClan was trying to pull him up to StarClan. Suddenly, everything faded as he died. No, there's an old med cat, Sandune yapped outside the den, and there's fire, and before she fades away, she says, "You cat." Everything felt distant. He could see it now, his territory, his clanmates, as he felt more pressure gain to his head, as Oatblood smashed his paw into his stomach. Please, no. He knew he was already dead, and he knew he had lost all of his lives. But why did Oatblood have to torment him in death? Tornclaw, he could feel her presence, and then it faded again, as more yapping came from outside the den. Suddenly, his faded body pulsed as he saw the clearing around him. Oatblood was being pinned to the ground by Tornclaw, where another cat, Stormclove, and Forgotten Kit were also inside the den. Forgotten Kit. He looks older than I last saw him, but that wasn't long ago, was it? Am I imagining things? Or is he the size of an apprentice this whole time? He let out a wince of pain as he saw Tornclaw get kicked in the stomach by Oatblood. "Please," the blackish blue Tom mumbled from beneath the beautiful she-cat. "Spare my life." "Why would I spare your life?" Tornclaw snarled. "When you didn't save Hazelstar's." "He wished for death," Oatblood snarled, "when he took that rat from me. All he had to do was give me food." Oatblood's voice seemed to grow more and more deformed as Tornclaw pressed her claws into his throat. What had caused for this bloodshed? A kitten? A rat? Or was it him that had caused all these problems? Another she-cat warrior? Or no, it was a Tom. It was Oaksoul. Approached in the den. "Please don't kill me." Oatblood whimpered again as Oaksoul grabbed Hazelstar's body. Picking up took a lot of work and time, almost, as the Tom tentatively grabbed him by his mane. Silence around him seemed to still be unclear. After more time of fighting, he was unsure of what he heard. Could he make out each meow, or were they just meshing into one? He lay there as the vision of everything faded and he died. This time for real. Hazelstar got dragged from Oaksoul. He knew that was going on. He knew that he would be in StarClan any second now. It just took time. As for the last time, everything faded to black. Tornclaw pinned Oatblood to the ground as the tongue screeched from beneath her. "Stop!" She looked back at Hazelstar, another pummel of guilt seemingly to stab her stomach. "Please, no. Don't be your last life, Hazelstar. I know you've got something more in you." The she-cat meowed, glaring up and then back down to Oatblood. "You took his last life." Tornclaw's teeth gritted. Everything. Every second she had been with Hazelstar was a beautiful one. Not beautiful, but a one worth cherishing the memory for. He looked back to Oaksoul. As the Tom had seen, he started praying. "No, please don't." Oatblood whimpered again underneath her. "Why all of the pity?" she snarled. "You are pathetic. And I won't kill you. I haven't. Or... No, she didn't say that. Why was everything fading when she looked down to a huge gash in her stomach, bleeding heavily? She knew it wasn't fatal, but it was making her brain foggy. "I haven't even been deputy for a moon," she whimpered, and then looked back to Sand Dune. "Tornclaw," she whispered carefully. "What?" the Molly mumbled. Sand Dune was silent for a second when she meowed. "I wonder if I told him my dream faster. Maybe I could save him. Maybe I could save him now." After a while, Tornclaw had let Oatblood go, and the clan had huddled around Hazelstar's body. She looked at him. A second when she whispered the words, "I love you," as everything faded to white.